Athlon Sports and Life ranking SEC quarterbacks for 2018, James. 2018. Where do you think Tua fell in that list? Now, remember, Tua's played one half of meaningful football. Nick Saban has yet to name him the starter. We did not get to see him in the spring. He got hurt literally the first day, and they ranked the top 14 quarterbacks. Where do you think Tua ranks in that list? Now let me give
How many are on this list now?
14. Let me give you some names. Jake Fromm, Kyle Shermer for Vanderbilt, Jake Bentley, Nick Fitzgerald, Jarrett Stidham, Drew Lock, Nick Starkel and Kelly Munn, both battling out at Texas A&M. Keller Christ, who is a transfer from Stanford to Tennessee. Jared, I think you could say Guarantano.
Oh, Guarantano.
He was the starter for Tennessee. He's on the list, or he's being mentioned. Miles Brennan at LSU. Those are some of the names that are on the list. Felipe Franks. So where do you think Tua? Now this is an outside organization. To me, they don't have any skin in the game.
I'm just going to split it right down the middle and just guess, and this is pure guess here. 7th.
All right, let's see if you got it right. Coming in at number 14 is Terry Wilson from Kentucky. Of course, he's coming in after Steven Johnson left. Steven Johnson, the starter for Kentucky. Wilson, it was a junior college transfer, so he's expected to start for Kentucky. He's at number 14. You got Felipe Franks at Florida. The question is, will he be able to hold off the likes of Emory Jones and Kyle Trask, guys who fit, I think, Dan Mullen's philosophy and style a little bit more. I think Franks is a better athlete than we give him credit for, but he's not the type of quarterback that Dan Mullins is looking for. But Dan Mullins is known as the quarterback whisperer because of what he's did with Tebow and Dak Prescott, guys who were not necessarily great passers, but really, really excelled in his offense as both passers and runners. Cole Kelly at Arkansas, but he's also now virtually every one of these teams you're going to see is in a quarterback battle. There's Cole Kelly at Arkansas, but he's in a battle with a young man named Ty Story, who will be a part of the Arkansas program. That's number 12. Number 11, Miles Brennan, LSU. Miles Brennan. He's a favorite to win the job, but he's also in a battle with Justin McMillan. They think they after spring, some reports out of Baton Rouge was that they would actually go with a 2-quarterback system. That's how close it is. And both of those guys battled out, unlike what we saw here. Keller Christ, we mentioned him from Tennessee to transfer, grad transfer from Stanford against Jared Guarantano. They're battling it out, but it looks like everybody's giving a nod to Keller Christ, or at least Athlon is. Number 9, Nick Starkel, Texas A&M, battling it out with Kelly Munn, who started as a freshman. So they have a quarterback battle. You know, have you noticed a theme here, James? I mean, it's these coaches. Are these coaches now not making decisions on starters, James, because guys will transfer so quick? You know,
that could be a reason. You
know, back in the day, you just went ahead and made you name your starter, and you didn't worry about the guy transferring. Transferring used to have a stigma to it. Now it's like, just transfer if you don't make the starting job. So that's number 9, James. We're getting close, John. James. Jordan. God, these names. Ta'amu. I think is how you say him. He's the guy that's going to be the starter at Ole Miss. Of course, Shea Patterson left and was ruled eligible for Michigan not too long ago. And probably Shea Patterson would kind of be the guy that probably potentially would have been the top pick had he stayed in the SEC. Then you got Kyle Shermer at Vanderbilt. Finished 2017 ranked second among SEC quarterbacks with 26 touchdown tosses in 12 contests. So, but his percentage, now think of it, 57.9%. That's not too good. So he's not number 7, James. So you know he's at least top 5. Top 6. Jake Bentley, I think, is just this kid is still, even though this is his 3rd year, this really should be only his 2nd year out of high school.
If he was at a bigger school than South Carolina, he'd be getting more attention.
You know what, James? And also when you look at it, this kid, he graduated a year early from high school. So when he was starting at South Carolina his freshman year, that shouldn't, not an early enrollee. Early enrollees are seniors who graduate. This guy was a junior. He didn't even go into his senior year. He was playing at South Carolina during his senior year. He was playing as the starting quarterback when he should have been starting on his high school team. But that's the top. That's the 6. So we know he at least made the top 5. So let's take a break. Tua has only played one half of football, and Athlon has already got him ranked in the top 5 quarterbacks for 2018. Athlon Sports ranking the SEC quarterbacks. We went from 14 down to 6. And the question we were asking is, where do they have Tua Tagovailoa? And the question is, do they even have Jalen Hurts listed? That's the part we hadn't talked about. Is Tua even on the list? Is it possible that is Jalen on the list in the top 5? Well, we're going to find that out. I don't know. Did you see the ESPN during the ESPN game, the 8-day game? They actually had Tua listed as a returning starter.
I think I did see that.
They didn't even have Jalen as a returning starter, returning quarterback. They said returning quarterbacks. They had Tua as the first pitcher shown. I think that was more about alphabetical order than what rank. But here's the names. Well, if I give you the names, you'll know he's in the top 5. So let's just start from number 5. Number 5, this quarterback probably could be number 1 based on if he grows any. But he's coming in at number 5. Jake Fromm ranks number 5 on this list, James. And he beat out a number 1 quarterback in Jacob Eason last year after an injury. Refused to let go of the job. Okay? So Jake Fromm is the number 5 overall quarterback.
Hey, Jake's you could make a case for him being a number 1 quarterback in this list too, just from the season he had last year.
Yes, exactly. If people are projecting Tua, think about this. You can come back in. I want you to come back in on this. If you're projecting Tua from one half of football, how is it that no one's projecting Jake Fromm from a year, an entire? 15 games. He played 15 games, and in that game, he was, to me, Georgia messed up on their offensive play calling in the second half. We had no answer, and it may be that our defense made a great adjustment, but it looked like they called a different game. They thought they had the game won, and they didn't keep doing what they were doing in the first half.
Absolutely. Well, kind of the reason I had Tua a little bit further down, for what he did in the second half, the great things he did in the second half, he still hasn't started a game. Yeah. He still hasn't started a game and played a full game yet.
Yeah, and he's never been scouted. He's never been scouted as the man. But Jake Fromm has, and Jake Fromm still responds. But Jake Fromm is in a quarterback battle. Not really. I think they're going to have a 2-quarterback system, as they got the number 1 quarterback in some lists, number 2 in others, Justin Fields, a dual threat guy. But if you saw this guy in the 8-day game, in the G-Day game, whatever they call the Georgia spring game, he is not just a runner. He is a Deshaun Watson, but bigger. I saw him throw several passes that were really pretty, but he's number 5. Then you got Nick Fitzgerald at Mississippi State coming in at number 4. Nick Fitzgerald, if he returns healthy, may have the opportunity because of what will be expected out of him. Like when you look at Jake Fromm is going to have talent around him. He's going to have wide receivers. He's going to have a good running game. Nick Fitzgerald under Moorhead, who coached up at Penn State, the quarterback Tracy Sorley, I think is his name, and Saquon Barkley, big time offensive weapons at Penn State. I think he's going to bring that passing game to Nick Fitzgerald. And Nick Fitzgerald, I think, is going to have a huge upside. But he's only coming in at number 4. So that means if Tua's on this list, he's in the top 3. He's in the top 3. So let's go to the number 2 guy. The number 2 guy, Drew Lock. Now listen to Drew Lock. Drew Lock was first team All-SEC last year, threw for 3,964 yards, 44 touchdowns, and his team in the last 6 games before the bowl game averaged 51 points a game. 44 was the most touchdown passes by any FBS quarterback. And he had one game last year where he threw for 521 yards. That guy's not number 1. He's not number 1, James. So listen to this. The number 1 quarterback is either going to be the starting quarterback for Auburn or the starting quarterback for Alabama, according to Athlon Sports. You can go out to athlonsports.com/college football ranking SEC quarterbacks for 2018 to see this article. So, drum roll. Is it Jarrett Stidham of Auburn? Is it Tua Tagovailoa of Alabama? Which guy is the number 1 projected quarterback? One guy has not started a game, but he looked all world in a half. Even though he had some freshman mistakes and had some mental mistakes, he still, when he lets the ball go, it's as pretty as it comes. Or is he even on the list? Is it possible that Athlon has Jalen Hurts as the number 1 or 2 quarterback in the SEC? No, they do not. The number 1 quarterback, and I'll go back and talk about the number 3 quarterback. The number 1 quarterback, according to Athlon Sports, is Tua Tagovailoa. Can you believe that? Nick Saban hadn't even named him a starter, and he's already ranked the number 1 returning quarterback in the. Now, here's the thing. I will give them credit. This is what they had to say in the article. Yes, ranking Tua Tagovailoa is a projection and requires the sophomore holding off Jalen Hurts for the starting job. And sure, he's got some developing to do and has to prove the second half performance against Georgia can be counted on for a full year. However, it's no secret Tagovailoa, a 5-star prospect and the number 32 overall player in 2017 247 Sports composite, might be the most talented quarterback that's ever been signed by Nick Saban. And he arrived here last year throwing for 636 yards and 11 touchdowns on 49 completions and adding 133 yards and 2 scores on the ground. The Hawaii native has all the talent needed to rank among the nation's best at quarterback by the end of 2018. The question is, how soon will he reach his potential under the new coordinator, Mike Locksley, and quarterback coach, Dan Enos? So the question is, can Tua live up to the hype? If Tua duplicates the second half of what he did against Georgia, Athlon Sports saying Tua Tagovailoa is the number 1 guy. Jarrett Stidham is the number 3 guy. He lost a huge weapon in Kerryon Johnson, but Auburn fans, Malzahn and others thinks that this team will still be set behind the quarterback play of Jarrett Stidham. I personally, and this is hard for me to say, but I personally like Jarrett Stidham as a player. I liked him as a freshman at Baylor. He came into Auburn. He did some really good things. He can take whatever you give him. I think he has a pretty decent deep ball. He spreads the ball around the field. Do I agree that Tagovailoa should be the number 1 quarterback? No, I do not. The There's been too many guys in this list that has proven it. They have proven it for 12, 13, 14, 15 games that they could do it against an SEC defense when they've been scouted. Do I believe Tua has the potential to be the number one guy? Yes. Would I put him there yet? No. Why? Two reasons. One is we've never seen him start. Well, three reasons. We've never seen him start. We've never seen him be scouted. And he's not been named the starter. And that may simply be a foregone conclusion. But will that hand be okay? Top-ranked quarterbacks. Now, that was only supposed to be a one-segment thing, but it's kind of carried over, kind of going to carry the show for this morning. Listen, there's conversation back, and of course, the typical thing that happens is anytime there's a comparison between Tua and Jalen, it becomes Martin versus Ryan. By the way, I believe that if Tua is healthy, here's listen to the ifs. If Tua is healthy, and if Tua duplicates what he did in the championship game, Tua's going to be the starter at Alabama. I believe that. But I don't know that he's going to duplicate it, and I don't know if he's going to be healthy. That's the part we don't know yet. And until that happens, I'm not going to put him and rank him in front of these guys. The point I'm trying to make out right now is there's no way you rank Tua in front of Jake Fromm. There's no way you rank Tua in front of Drew Lock. Even if you're ranking on potential. Your potential, yes, he has the potential to, but these guys have done it. Drew Lock was the number one guy, and he's coming back with more weapons and under the system a year older. Jake Fromm, Georgia's only going to get better. But potential-wise, Tua is one of the prettiest throwers, accurate throwers I've ever seen. But he's not done it. He's not been scouted. That's why I say you have to be careful with this. So, but I don't have a dog in the fight. I want the best player for Alabama to win the job. That's the way I played the game. That's the way I watch the game. That's the way I look at the game. And that's the way I want coaches to coach at every level. Best players play. Do not give in to pressure, politics, or any other outside source. So, and if that's the case, Tua has a chance to be the starter of Alabama. I just don't know that you should rank him right now as the number one guy because of where he's at. Pat's been patient and hanging on. So, Pat, welcome into the Blitz, man.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
First off, how do you discount that Jalen is already the number 2 player in program history as far as being responsible for touchdowns at quarterback?
You're asking me how do I do it, or how did this article do it?
No, I mean, how do you discount that far as picking a starter?
I don't know.
I mean, we can't put our shoes in our feet in Coach Saban's shoes.
Right.
However, but the Silk Suits in Vegas disagree with you, Martin Houston.
What's that?
They have Tua as a 10-1 favorite to win the Heisman Trophy.
Hey, but what's their goal? What's their goal?
The number 1 player in the SEC as far as shot to win the Heisman Trophy. Do you realize that?
What is Vegas's goal?
Get people to bet money.
There you go.
And more bets, the better.
That's right. So and the bigger the odds, et cetera. So they want people voting and betting on Tua, right?
Absolutely.
So why would they not have him in there? Regardless of whether they believe it or not.
The fact that he's in there to be a legitimate Heisman. I mean, they have him as a legitimate Heisman Trophy winner, and he's played one half of one game.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that's their job. That's their goal, is to get you and I to spend a little money.
Oh, yeah.
So of course they're going to have him in there as a legitimate option. Hey, what else you got for me? I got Larry. Go ahead.
But look, hey, there's 128 we're talking about, just Division I schools that, and surely there's more quarterbacks out there than Tua Tagovailoa. However, I am a Tua fan. I am for the throwing Samoan. You hear me?
Yeah, and here's the thing. If Tua duplicates what he did in the second half, he will win the Heisman because he's going to be the best player on the best team. I mean, let's just be honest. If Tua duplicates what he did in that game and he's playing for Alabama and Alabama's playing all the way to the championship, he's going to win the Heisman. I mean, it'll shock me if he didn't win the Heisman. Those are big ifs. If Alabama wins and if he's as good as he was in that one half.
All right. Right. And the one other thing that I wanted to touch base with you, and I'm going to bring you into the next show after yours, is when are we going to 9 games? You realize I cook for 100 and something people at every home football game. We're only going to do 4 games this year. Yeah. Because the schedule is so horrible.
Well, I think it happened. I mean, I'm going to let you go, Pat, but I think it happened when the SEC gets left out of the playoffs, and it cost them because a team like Alabama this year cannot. Alabama has to go 15-0 to win a national title, in my opinion. If they lose anywhere this season because of the schedule that they have, they will be left out, most likely, unless everybody else is down. I just think that it's such a weak schedule that Alabama being an SEC champion with 1 loss would be devastating. I got to get Pat, call back. You know, we got recruiting tomorrow. All right, Larry, thanks for your patience. Welcome into the Blitz. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just, Athlon needs to rename that article if it says the top 15 quarterbacks in the SEC, because what they put together is a top 15 list of projected starters, because there's no way that Jalen Hurts isn't a better quarterback than at least 5 of those guys on that list.
Yeah, it's
and Tua, I love Tua. I love Jalen too. I mean, whoever Nick Saban decides is the best quarterback, that's my man too, because I know he's going to put the best guy in there. But Tua hasn't even won the starting position yet, and they're coming out with this whole thing. You got a man that played for 2 seasons and lost 2 football games, one of them the national championship game, and has a proven record. And he's not the prettiest passer out there, but he gets the job done, and I can't see where he's not better than at least 5 of those guys on that list. Well,
and when you look at it, they did just go. They said they're ranking the top players, but they're really ranking starters. And of course they're ranking one starter that hadn't started. And the other side of that, Larry, is did you see what ESPN did when they did the 8A game? They did returning quarterbacks, okay? Top returning quarterbacks. And guess what they did? They didn't even put Jalen in the list. This is at the spring game. Now, you're watching the spring game. Think about this. You're watching the spring game, and this guy who started all 15 games is playing, and they had Tua's picture and didn't have Jalen in there at all. Worst case, you put a slash to have both of the guys since they're fighting for the starting job. I thought that was pretty tacky on ESPN's part. Not saying that Tua won't win the job, but I did think that was tacky that you showed a graphic that showed Tua as a returning quarterback for Alabama.
I agree. I forgot about that. Them doing that.
So, but anything else on your mind, Larry?
No, I just wanted to chime in on that.
All right, well, we appreciate it, and Roll Tide, call anytime.
Okay, have a good one.